more about the one-year program. Oh, too far, sorry.
Okay. Also, welcome from me. So as Andy said, I'm Sabine Steemans. I'm the coordinator of the Dutch courses at Linguapolis, and I'm also the coordinator of the prep year. What will we be talking about in the webinar, in the presentation? We will discuss why would people choose to take the prep year, what is the contents of the prep year, a little bit about our approach, and then Andy will go on with the admission requirements, the application procedure, some questions, and the contact information. So the questions is the Q&A. Okay, let's start with why would you choose to take the prep year? No, sorry, we will start with a poll indeed. So you will see if everything goes well, Charlotte will launch a poll with as a first question, do you know someone who has already followed the Dutch prep year? Charlotte? Yeah, okay. So you see this very simple question and you can answer with yes or no. Okay. As we can see, I think everybody managed to click either yes or no by now. Sorry. We see that 57% of the people who are present now already know someone, so that's great. The fact now it changes. Well, it's almost 50-50, let's say. Still, I think it's quite a lot of people, half of the people approximately, who know someone who has already followed the prep year, so that's very nice. I think it's also very valuable if you come over and if you join the prep year next year to ask for the experiences of someone who has already taken the prep year. We also offer at the beginning of the academic year a meeting with previous prep students, so that's something we really believe in. Okay, let's go over to the next question. Charlotte, I think you can launch the second question. Do you already know a word in Dutch? So if you do not know any word in Dutch, you can answer no. That's what someone already did, or several people already did. But if you know a word, please type it out. It's always interesting to see which words are interesting to people. Okay, a lot of people seem to know the word for yes, which is a very useful word, namely the word ja, which appears to be very dank je, yeah, thank you is also very useful. Hallo, yeah. Inderdaad is already quite a difficult word to know, which means indeed, yeah. Okay. And toppie, which means great, yeah, is also a good word to be positive when speaking Dutch. Yeah. Okay. Let's go over to the next question. Can you name some things Belgium is known for? You want to come over to Belgium or you want to join a program in order to start learning Dutch, but what do you associate Belgium with? I see fries. Yeah, indeed. French fries is a very bad term for our Belgian frietjes. So they were invented in Belgium. They are a Belgian product. A lot of culinary terms, yeah, waffles, beer, pinches, beer, cartoons, indeed. We have a cartoon museum in Brussels. There are a lot of very known cartoons like Tintin, who are Belgian. Football, we have very good football players playing in international football clubs. Okay. Yeah, Tintin, I see Tintin in the chat. You do not need to use the chat. Well, you can use the chat, but the idea is to answer it in the poll, yeah, because I see a lot of people answering in the chat. Maybe you're more familiar with using a chat, but we are using the poll, which is also provided by Teams. Some people seem to have problems with the poll, no problem. Fashion, yeah, there's a lot of famous Belgian fashion designers. The poll should appear on your screen. Maybe it's on a different screen. Maybe you have to look for it. But no problem. Chocolate. Yeah, Belgium is known for Belgian chocolate. We think it's the best chocolate in the world. We also use it on our bread. Yeah, we have choco, which is also mentioned here in the poll. Okay, that's it for now as a warming up. Let's go back to the presentation. Andy, I do not know if you're still sharing the presentation.
For some reason, the sharing stops.
Yeah, maybe because of the poll. I do not know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So
we're back.
Why would you choose to take part in the Dutch Prep Year? You will become a student at the University of Antwerp. You see a picture here of a beautiful courtyard of our university where a lot of students are in a picnic or reviewing their classes. It will prepare you to study in Dutch at a Dutch-speaking university. You will learn Dutch in a very quick and very intensive way, and you will be supported by very experienced language teachers. But above all, this prep year will give you the opportunity to make friends for life. When we meet people or ex-students after the prep year, a lot of them tell us that the friends they made when they arrived, when they started here at the prep year, these friends are for life. They have the same aim. You've worked together a whole year to achieve this very high B2 level of Dutch. You're all in it together, and that gives you a very strong bond. So let's not forget the emotional aspect as well. We take care of it, as I will mention later as well. We really believe that the social and cultural activities that we offer within this prep year are very important for your well-being while trying to achieve this very high aim of the B2 level in Dutch. So these are a number of reasons for choosing the prep year at our university at Linguapolis. Then the next slide, please. So what is this prep year at Linguapolis about? As I said, it is a full-time intensive study program. It's a 60 credits, so full-time study program. And it will entitle you to a student visa. So if you are living abroad and you need a student visa to come to Belgium, because of its intensity and its full 60 credit contents, it entitles you to a student visa. So contrary to a lot of other prep year programs, we offer you different subjects. In other schools, other institutes, they just teach you Dutch. That's it. No, we really see it as an academic program. So we provide you with language acquisition, of course, it's also the most important part, but we also offer academic study skills. We offer you phonetics and pronunciation because we think it's really important that you pronounce the language in a very natural way. And then our most cherished subject is the culture of the Low Countries. It consists of lectures and cultural activities, and it gives you a full insight into a lot of aspects of the culture of Flanders, Belgium and the Netherlands, Antwerp, etc. So this is what the studying part is about. As you could have read in the brochure, it's 15 hours of class. Sometimes I get the question, well, is that a full-time study program? Well, ask the ex-students and they will tell you that it is really full-time. It's 15 hours of class, but we give you a lot of self-study, you get a lot of homework, a lot of tasks to do, a lot of words to study, a lot of grammar to absorb and to practice with digital exercises. So it really is a full-time study program. Don't think of combining it with another job. For example, you could take a student job, like working in a pub 1 or 2 evenings a week, but that's about it. Yeah. Another very important aspect of our prep year is the Taalmaat project. Taalmaat means taal is language and maat is buddy, friend. Yeah. It's a project in which we offer you, the prep year students, the opportunity to speak and interact with Dutch-speaking students. So these Dutch-speaking students are volunteers who welcome you, who will give you the opportunity to practice the language. This is already very important because some of you might not know anybody in Belgium and might not have the opportunity to practice with native speakers. So this is the opportunity to practice your Dutch outside the classroom. And they will not only give you the opportunity to practice the language, but also give you insight into what student life in Belgium is about. A lot of the students in the prep year already have a bachelor's or even a master's degree from their own country. But of course, every country has different ways of teaching at university. Lectures are organized in different ways. So it's really interesting to get the stories from students already studying at a university. They can even take you to lectures, etc. So they give you a real insight into what you will be doing the year afterwards, namely studying in Antwerp or in a Dutch-speaking university or school of higher education. So that's what Taalmaat is about. Then our approach. I started deliberately with a poll to have some interaction. Of course, it's not easy to have an interaction with more than 20 people in a webinar, but I did it on purpose because I wanted to really point out and focus on the way in which we teach. Namely, it will not be a lecture. We will not lecture about Dutch, but we will teach in an interactive and communicative way so that you really use the language, speak the language, listen to the language, and interact with the language. Linguapolis selects the best teachers for the prep year because we think you are the people who have to learn the language in the quickest way and in the best way possible. So only our senior teachers with a lot of experience will be teaching you. You will get this presentation afterwards. Charlotte will send this presentation to you, and then you can click on play video. Yeah. In this short video, you will see how we teach. Yeah? You will see people walking around, using or performing little dialogues, really interacting with each other and using the language. This might be different from the way you're used to learn a language at school. Yeah? And then, of course, we do not only offer you paper books, but we also offer you a digital platform on which you find a lot of exercises, extra material, and ways of practicing the language even more. So that's in short about our approach. And then Andy will go on with the admission requirements. I give the floor to Andy. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Steemans. So, a few things that are requirements for being able to, well, to be accepted to the one-year program. First of all, you need to have the correct secondary school qualifications. In other words, the high school degree you obtained in your country needs to give access to higher education in the country where you obtained that degree. For some countries, just a degree will be sufficient. In other countries, there's also a national exam. So if a national exam is a requirement in your country, then we also need proof of that you've completed that exam. Another requirement is that you have at least an intermediate level of English. So that's B1 level. The way this is tested is in an interview, more about that later. But in a first stage, you will be required to submit proof that you have studied English as a foreign language. However, some of you are native speakers of English. Some of you have had English as the language of instruction in high school. For those students, it's a requirement that they also submit proof that they've studied another European language as a foreign language. Really, the foreign language learning is an important aspect because the way our teachers teach is under the assumption that you're familiar with foreign language learning. If you don't have that experience, you're basically lost from the start on. So that's why. And a third requirement, important one, of course, is a tuition fee. There are two different fees, one for students who are nationals of the European Economic Area and one for those outside of the European Economic Area. So for the European students, it's 4,895 total. And for those who are nationals of non-EEA regions or countries, it's 6,625 euros. Then, the application procedure. This has a lot of steps. I'll try to explain it as detailed as possible without drowning you in information, but I'll try to give you the most important information here. So basically, there's the application itself. You need to submit an advance fee. There's an interview, legalized documents, a letter of acceptance, and so on, but we'll have a look at those one by one. So first of all, you need to submit your application. This is the first hurdle because there's not just one type of application, there's actually 5 different types. For those who require a student visa to come to Belgium, you need to submit your application before the 1st of March. So that's in 1.5 months' time from now. So before that time, you need to submit it. For those students, there are 4 different application forms. There is one for the one-year program followed by studies, bachelor or master at the University of Antwerp. There's one for the one-year program followed by a bachelor program at AP University College, one for the prep year followed by a bachelor program at KDG University College. And if you don't want to continue your studies at either of those 3, any of those 3, you can also submit an application for just the one-year program, but you also need to make sure that you get a second application for the next academic year at a Flemish institution for a bachelor or master program taught in Dutch. Then, besides these 4, there's also a different application form for people who don't need a student visa. And the deadline for those students is the 31st of August. So for this one, you don't need a second registration. So in that step, the enrollment application, that's where you upload all the different documents mentioned earlier. So certificates, proof of language learning, Also, you enter your motivation, experience in language learning, and so on. So lots of different steps, but you'll be guided through those steps one by one with clear instructions. Then, once you've submitted everything, you'll be asked to confirm that everything's complete. When you do, you will be asked to pay the advance fee. The advance fee is the same for everyone. For EEA students or non-EEA students, it's always 2,000 euros. The only difference between the two types is that students in need of a student visa need to pay the advance fee before the 15th of April. Those who don't need a student visa have time until the 31st of August. The reason why the deadlines for the students in need of a student visa are that early is basically because the application procedure for a student visa itself already takes a lot of time. So if we wait until August to start an interview or to collect fees, there's no way that you will get your student visa in time. So that's why these deadlines are so early. So once we've received the application, we will evaluate the advance fee. We will evaluate the documents that were submitted. And if everything checks out, you will be invited for an interview. This is a short chat through a Skype video chat, roughly 15 to 20 minutes. And we test 3 different things in these interviews. So first of all, we will test your level of English, just general English, things a speaker of English should be able to say at an intermediate level. Next, we will check your familiarity with the program. So in order to pass the interview, you need to prepare. Maybe you've seen already on our website that we have a study guide. You will need to read that study guide very carefully because you will be asked questions about the program itself. And a final step in the interview is that we check your motivation. Simple questions like why Belgium, things that Ms. Steemans already asked earlier, what do you know about Belgium, things like that. Perhaps whether you have relatives here, anything that might contribute to your motivation for coming to Belgium to study. Okay. If the interview goes well, and let's assume it does, you will be asked to submit your legalized documents. So basically the documents you submitted earlier digitally will need to be submitted legalized. For many countries, in the meantime, it's possible to have digital legalizations, not for all countries. So check in your country what the possibilities are. If a digital legalization is not possible, you will have to send your legalizations by post. Addresses and such, where to send them, you will get that information later. How to get your documents legalized, there's a link here in the presentation that you can follow when you receive this presentation. It depends on the country as well. For some countries, it's a very elaborate procedure. For some countries, it's an apostille. So you'll have to check. And the documents we need, of course, are the certificates and the transcript of records. Then we check the legalizations. We verify that everything is correct. And if everything is correct, you will receive a letter of acceptance, which is a first letter stating that we accept you as a student, and which is also a document that you need in order to apply for a student visa, if you need one. So people who don't need a student visa, this letter of acceptance, well, it's a nice thing to have, but you don't really need it. It's mainly for people who need a student visa, which acts as a formal invitation to the program. And as mentioned earlier, for those who do need a student visa, you need 2 letters of acceptance. One from us and one for the subsequent studies at the university, a college, and so on. If you start the application through one of the 3 combined applications, so Prepare University of Antwerp, Prepare KDG, Prepare AP, then you'll get both letters of acceptance in one email. If you choose to go somewhere else to study, you have to make sure that you get your letter of acceptance from that institution as well. Okay, moving on. So you're already 99% registered, let's say, once you've received letter of acceptance. The final step is that you need to pay the balance of your tuition fee. So you, at this point, you already paid 2,000 euros. So the rest of the fee still needs to be paid before you can be admitted. A letter of admission, so official proof that you're registered, can be issued once you've paid the entire tuition fee. And you also need to be in Belgium already, because your residence needs to be linked to a Belgian address, and also your registration needs to be linked to a Belgian address. So that's why. Okay, moving on. And yeah, if everything goes well, you'll end up in Belgium, and you'll see all of these marvelous locations. The bottom two on the left-hand side are both locations on our campus. The other three are places in Antwerp, but I'm sure you'll learn more about those in the Culture of the Low Countries sessions. And the second, it looks a bit strange, a big orange block, but it's actually quite an impressive museum. And left-hand side is our Antwerp Central Station. Okay, that brings us to the last part of the webinar. At this point, I think the recording can stop, and we give the floor to you, basically,